All right, thanks, guys. Welcome to the show. And before we get into Sunday's MLB action, I just want to give a quick shout out, a big thank you to my headline sponsor for today's program, Jimmy and the boys at GhostPicksATS.com. And if you like making money on sports, there's no reason why you shouldn't check out one or more of their very affordable money-making, shoebox busting packages. That's Jimmy and the boys at GhostPicksATS.com, GhostPicksATS.com. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at our Sunday slate of baseball games and personal leans, beginning with Yankees, Blue Jays 107 Toronto. And a 10-cent move toward the Yankees. They open $1.50 up to $1.60, totals at 9.5. 68% of the current betting public is still leaning toward New York. And at the moment, we got Domingo Germán for the Yanks, Ryan Barucki for the Jays. Toronto's just 3-12 in their games at the current moneyline price. They're also taking on a Yankees squad who's winning 70% of their ball games at the current market price themselves. And despite yesterday's offensive explosion between these two clubs, they've gone just 4-8 to the over in their 12 head-to-head matchups thus far on the season. So all those factors in mind, I'm going to lean toward the Yankees run line and the under 9.5. Next game, A's, Indians. There we go. Off cue there. A's, Indians, 110 Cleveland. And a 5-cent move toward the Indians in this one. Cleveland open $1.80 up to $1.85. Totals at 9.5. And 73% of the public bettors are still leaning toward the Indians. We got Anderson for Oakland, Bieber for Cleveland. The Indians are a perfect 5-0 when Shane Bieber made the start. They're also taking on an Oakland team who's just 14-23 going up against winning ball clubs. Now, scoring-wise, Cleveland's a staggering 12-1 to the over at home when the line was 9 or higher. So all that said and done, I'm going to lean Cleveland run line in the over 9.5. Next game, Rangers, Tigers, 110 Detroit, 5-cent move toward the Tigers in this one. Detroit opened $1.15 up to $1.20. Totals at 9 flat. 68% are still leaning toward the Tigers. And at the moment, we got Bibbins, Dirks for the Rangers, Fulmer for the Tigers. Now, Detroit's a terrible 5-12 in their games where Mike Fulmer made the start. They're also taking on a Texas squad who's actually 17-15 in their games versus losing ball clubs. Now, total-wise, just 6 out of 17 Mike Fulmer starts stayed under the posted total. So all that in mind, I'm going to lean toward the Rangers in the under 9 flat. Next game, Rays, Mets, 110 Flushing, Queens, 15-cent fade of the Rays in the early going here. Excuse me. Tampa open 150 down to 135. Totals at 7.5. And at the moment, we got Nathan Eovaldi for Tampa Bay. Chris Flexen for the Mets. The Mets are a terrible 3-16 in their games at the current price. They've also won just 4 of 20 ball games as the home dog. Now, total-wise, Mets games went just 5-17 to the over versus teams averaging less than 4 runs per contest. So all those trends in mind, I'm going to stick with the Rays outright and the under 7.5. Next game, Marlins, Nationals. That's 135 DC and a 15-cent fade of the Nationals in the early going here. They did open $2.15 down to the $2 favorite. Totals at 9 flat. And at the moment, we got Trevor Richards for the Fish. Tanner Roark for the Nats with that mustache and sideburns. Anyway, Washington's a perfect 6-0 in their head-to-head matchups with the Marlins. They're also taking on a Miami squad who's winning just 36% of their ball games, where Trevor Richards made the start. Now, scoring-wise, Roark starts did go just 6-11 to the over so far in the season with that mustache and sideburns. So all that said and done, I'm going to side with the Nats run line and the under, 9 even. Next game, White Sox, Astros, 210 Houston, 25-cent fade of the Astros in the early going here. But I really can't see how they couldn't be faded by some of those bettors out there. They opened as the $3.35 favorites in this one. They're now down to a measly $3.10, and we are looking at a posted total of 8.5 runs. We got Lucas Giolito to take the bump for Chicago. Dallas Keuchel slated for the Astros. Houston's a perfect 6-0 straight up with the White Sox. They're also taking on a Sox organization who's just 8-20 versus teams over 500. Now, total-wise, 5 out of these teams' 6 head-to-head matchups did go over the posted total. So all that said and done, I'm going to lean toward the Astros run line and the over 8.5. Next game, Braves, Brewers, 210 Milwaukee. The Brewers are $1.25, totals 9 even, 55% are leaning toward Atlanta. I need more coffee. All right, we got Sean Newcomb for the Braves, Junior Guerra for the Brewers. Milwaukee's gone 18-9 in their games at the current market price. Atlanta's dropped 4 out of their last 5 ball games. Now, scoring-wise, Junior Guerra starts did go just 4-12 to the over thus far on the season. So all told, I'm going to lean toward Milwaukee and the under, 9 even. Next game, Orioles, Twins, 210 Minnesota. In a 5-cent move toward Minnesota thus far, they opened 165 up to 170. Totals at 9 flat. 76% are still leaning Minnesota. And at the moment, we got Alex Cobb for the O's, Jay Odorizzi for the Twins. And we are looking at a Twin squad who's taken 5 of 6 head-to-head matchups away from Baltimore. We're also looking at a Baltimore team who's a pitiful 3-12 in their Alex Cobb starts. Now, total-wise, just 1-5 to the over in these teams' 6 head-to-head matchups. So all that in mind, I'm going to lean toward the Twins run line and the under, 9 even. Next game, Red Sox, Royals, 215 Kansas City. Slight fade of the Bo Sox here, open 230 down to 220. Total was 9.5 down to 9 flat. And at the moment, we got Rick Porcello for the Sox, Jake Junis for the Royals. Now, KC's gone a disgraceful 6-29 in their games as the official home underdog. They're also taking on a Boston squad who's 83% in their games at the current market price. Now, total-wise, 4 out of these teams' 5 head-to-head matchups did go over the total. So all that said and done, I'm going to lean toward the Red Sox run line and the over, 9 even. Next game, Reds, Cubs, 220 Wrigley. And despite absolutely blowing it yesterday, somehow these Cincinnati Reds are taking a little bit of money in the early going here. Their counterparts open $1.60 down to $1.50. No total posted as of yet. And at the moment, we got Louis Castillo for the Reds, Big John Lester for the Cubs. And despite the early 10-cent fade, that's right, my mug says boss lady. Despite the 10-cent fade, the Chicago team is an impressive 14-3 when John Lester makes a start. They're also taking on a Cincinnati squad who's just 389 in their games as the official Vegas underdog. So with all those betting trends in mind, I'm going to lean toward the Chicago Cubs winning this one outright for some pricey money line cash. Next game, Cardinals, Giants, 405 San Francisco. Giants are $1.30, total 7.5. 65% are leaning towards San Fran. And at the moment, we got Jack Flaherty for the Cards, Madison Bumgarner for the Giants. But despite being the favorites in this one, San Francisco has dropped 4 of 6 when Mad Bum makes the start. They're also taking on a St. Louis squad who's won 4 out of their last 6 straight up themselves. Now, total-wise, Flaherty starts did go just 2-10 to the over so far in the year. So all that said and done, I'm going to take the Cardinals catching a little juice in the under 7.5. Next game, Pods, D-backs, that's 410 Arizona. And no surprises here as the Diamondbacks are taking money at home. They open $1.85 up to the $2.20 favorites. Total also open at 8 even, down to 7.5. Currently, 84% of the current tickets are on Arizona. And at the moment, we got Clayton Richard for the Padres, Zach Greinke for the D-backs. I have to take another break for the Boss Lady coffee. That's not a shameless plug either. That's not a company. That's just a mug that I have that says Boss Lady. It's a little weird. But anyway, Arizona's 11-7 in their games where Greinke made the start. They're also taking on a Padres team who's winning just 37% of their games as the dog. Now, scoring-wise, Clayton Richard starts did go 10-8 to the over so far in the season. So all that in mind, I'm going to lean toward the D-backs run line and the over 7.5. Next game, Rockies-Mariners 4-10 Seattle, and a 15-cent move toward the Mariners in the early going here despite dropping 2 to the Rockies. Seattle opened $1.30 up to $1.45, totals at 8.5. 73% are leaning toward the Mariners. And at the moment, we got Sensatella for the Rockies, Wade LeBlanc for the Mariners. Now, Seattle's winning around 80% of their games at the current price. They're also taking on a Colorado team who's just 41% in their games at the current market price themselves. Now, total-wise, just 3 out of 12 Wade LeBlanc starts actually got over the line. So all that said and done, I'm going to lean toward the Mariners outright and the under 8.5. All right, next and final game for the show, it is going to be Dodgers-Angels, 8:05 Anaheim. The Dodgers are the $5 favorites, totals at 8.5. 63% are leaning toward the Dodgers. And at the moment, we got Alex Wood for the Dodgers, Andrew Heaney for the Angels. Now, the Angels are winning just 26% of their games at the current market price. They've also won just 5 of 15 games where Andrew Heaney made the start. Oddly enough, though, Andrew Heaney starts did go just 4-11 to the over so far in the year. So all that said and done, I'm going to lean toward the Dodgers outright and the under 8.5. All right, folks, that is going to do it for me. But before I get out of here, I just have to remind you to check out my daily best play at patreon.com/BrockPage. And with a documented win percentage of 60% for the entire year of 2017, you're hurting yourself each and every day you're not subscribed. I also want to remind you to check out my headline sponsor, Jimmy and the boys at GhostPicksATS.com. Jimmy and his team of young, hungry, expert consultants at Ghost Picks are the most passionate in the business. And if you thought I was good at handicapping games, these guys are amongst the best in the industry. And as always, thank you for watching today's program. I hope you enjoyed all of this great free information. And please don't forget to check out my daily best play at patreon.com/BrockPage.